The President of the United States just told China, America's biggest rival, to come in and take control of one of the most strategically critical waterways on the planet. And he did it on Air Force One. It happened aboard Air Force One, moments ago, according to C-SPAN. Trump was speaking directly to reporters in that narrow corridor that separates the president from the press. And what he said next stopped the room. Quote, "They should come in. China gets most of its oil through the strait." That was Trump, on the record, calling for China, the nation his own administration has spent years labeling as America's greatest strategic threat, to enter and secure the Strait of Hormuz. Let that land for a second. For those who need context, the Strait of Hormuz is not just a body of water. It is the jugular vein of the global oil economy. At its narrowest point, it is just 21 miles wide, and through those 21 miles flows approximately 20% of all the world's traded oil, every single day. Trump's point was not wrong on the facts. China is the world's largest importer of oil, and the overwhelming majority of that oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. If the strait closes, even for 48 hours, China's economy doesn't just slow down, it begins to suffocate. And Trump made another claim, that the US gets very little oil from the Strait of Hormuz. That is largely accurate. America's shale revolution has made the United States energy independent for most practical purposes. Which raises the question Trump was clearly asking. If we don't need it, why are we securing it? Here's why this is a bombshell. The United States Navy has patrolled the Strait of Hormuz for decades. Billions of dollars, American lives, American ships, all to keep a waterway open that, according to the sitting US president, primarily benefits China. Trump just said the quiet part loud. Since 1979, since the Iranian Revolution, the United States has maintained a continuous naval presence in the Persian Gulf. Through the tanker war of the 1980s, through Desert Storm, through every crisis, every standoff, every Iranian speedboat provocation, the US Navy has been there. And now, the president is asking why. So how is Beijing receiving this invitation? Carefully. Very carefully. China has long sought to expand its naval footprint in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. But openly accepting an American invitation to police the Strait of Hormuz puts China in an extraordinary position, one they almost certainly weren't expecting. Some analysts are calling this vintage Trump, a dramatic opening gambit designed to shift burden and leverage simultaneously. If China accepts, they shoulder the cost and responsibility. If China refuses, Trump can say Beijing won't protect its own interests. Either way, Trump changes the conversation. And then there's Iran, the nation that has repeatedly threatened to close the strait entirely. Iran watches this exchange between Washington and Beijing with considerable interest, because a China-patrolled Strait of Hormuz is a very different strategic calculation than a US-patrolled one, and Tehran knows it. Global oil markets are already watching. Any suggestion of instability or change in the security architecture of the Strait of Hormuz sends prices moving. Traders, energy ministers, and hedge funds are all parsing Trump's words right now, looking for signals in the syntax. America's allies in the region, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Israel, are also watching carefully. The Strait of Hormuz is not just about oil. It is about the entire US-backed security architecture of the Middle East. If Washington signals it wants to step back, every calculation in the region shifts overnight. Strip away the politics, strip away the personalities. What Trump said on Air Force One today is one of the most consequential foreign policy statements in years. He questioned the foundational logic of decades of American military deployment in the Persian Gulf. In 53 seconds, on C-SPAN, aboard Air Force One. This fits a pattern. Trump has long questioned the cost-benefit logic of American military commitments abroad. From NATO burden sharing to Pacific alliances to, now, the Strait of Hormuz. The question he keeps asking is consistent. Why is America paying for everyone else's security? And this time, he's pointing directly at China. And that question, why are American taxpayers and American sailors securing a waterway that primarily benefits China, is one that millions of Americans, regardless of party, find hard to dismiss. There are no easy answers here. The Strait of Hormuz doesn't care about domestic politics. Global energy markets don't negotiate with ideologies. But Trump just moved a piece on a board that hasn't been touched in 40 years, and the world is watching to see what moves next. Subscribe, hit the bell, because this story is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what happens next.